Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be going over update 35.1 as it has released into beta. There are a couple of bits of more information with some changes to how certain characters are going to work, some of their skills, some of their lead skills, and also some bug fixes as well. We'll just read through the information post. A lot of it we do know that is coming already, and I will be playing through the beta on the beta regions on a stream on Wednesday afternoon. That would be tomorrow. If you want to check out while I'm live, you can ask me questions. I can check out things live that you want me to look at, or you can just rewatch the stream later on and see what was basically going down. I'll probably do a recap of that stream as well, just to see the highlights, just to have a bit more of a condensed version of that stream later on in the week. But this week's all about 35.1 and the update. And let's get into that information with update 35.1 going into public beta. There is just a little bit more released information because of this. And reading through the introduction, it says, "Hello survivors, this week we hold a public beta to test our upcoming 35.1 release, which will feature the all-new progression mission system. This week players can get a sneak peek to test the next update and earn a few coins along the way." It also says below is a link to find out how to join the public beta and description of the updates, changes and features we'll be testing out. It is worth noting that if you join public beta, you will go on to a beta update on the Google app, and you will not be able to use the game on another app. For instance, you won't be able to play it on your Amazon download if you are on the beta update, because the beta update is a more advanced update that the Amazon download cannot actually get. And the same would work for like a Windows phone as well. Info on the progression mission system, it says here, is the new progression missions will serve to replace and update the side missions, which offered outdated rewards and older characters from the past. Progression missions offer 252 new missions arranged across 25 chapters. These updated missions will be available for all players when update 35.1 is released, and will reward useful consumable resources, gold mythic tokens, and gold mythic fighters, including Maggie Green. Now, I have previewed Maggie Green. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a more in-depth preview of this character, but we shall see. In the top right-hand corner, you can check out the kind of like basic preview of Maggie Green. I probably will do one. I probably will get around to doing one, but that's just because I love doing content. It really depends on if I have like a space in the calendar and when this update is actually going to go live. We have actually got War this weekend, so it is, you know, kind of surprising that the beta update is going to come out this week. But it potentially could be done and dusted before the end of the week. It might be a really small just beta test. Now, it does note that public beta players will only see a select number of new progression missions during testing. Coin rewards will not appear on the live regions progression missions when 35.1 is released for all players. So you'll get the coins for actually going through the progression missions. Public beta players will see chapter 1 of progression missions on their live regions. Additional chapters will become available on live regions after 35.1 has gone live for all players. Chapter 1 rewards will be sent directly to players' inventories if they have already been completed at the time of becoming available. Chapter 1 missions are specifically new player tasks, so existing players should see these missions already completed upon unlocking them. Now, there is some info on the new and reactivated player roadmaps. The blue section of the roadmap, that's the bottom right hand corner when you go into the roadmap section, is being converted to help new players and returning players get back up to speed in RTS. This section will feature roadmaps that will help reward those players and bring them closer to endgame competition. To test this feature, we'll be encouraging players to do the following: download the TWD RTS beta build and enter the public beta region, close and exit the Walking Dead Road to Survival app for a few minutes, and reopen the app. Entering the region and then closing and exiting the game for a few minutes should trigger the roadmap and mission set that players can complete to earn coins in public beta regions. If you do not immediately see the missions upon completing the steps listed above, please leave your device uninterrupted on the town screen for 10 minutes and repeat the steps again. This is just so the roadmaps actually pop up. A lot of the time you can actually just run world map stage 1 and it does force the roadmaps to also come up. I've noticed that can happen quite a lot. Or you can just switch regions, switch back to your main region and then switch back to a beta region, and sometimes it can force them to come up as well. So there are multiple ways you can get these roadmaps to force, and it's going to be interesting to see what the main rewards are. It looks like in the beta region it's going to be coins, but it'll be interesting because this is mainly aimed at new players and reactivated players. We were talking about this a bit in my stream. Potentially could be things like veteran rings, and that'll be actually useful for some veteran players as well, because some people haven't got enough veteran rings at the moment, so that's going to be quite useful. But it'll be interesting to see what they decide to put in here, and if it's potentially useful for veteran players like myself to actually run the roadmaps as well. And now there is going to be some combat changes during this update as well, and it says we've created a new status effect, damage over time reduction. This will replace the existing permanent bleed, burn, damage reduction effects on mythic fighters. Mythic fighters with the previous versions of this ability, Tara, Elodie, Skins, Davy, and William, will now have a rest of combat damage over time reduction buff instead of permanent version of the effect. This new damage over time reduction status effect is dispellable, stealable, etc. And that is basically like, imagine they've got focus for the rest of combat. You know, you see some of the characters get that. They basically got this buff for the rest of combat. But like I said, it can be removed, removal positive effects, or it can be stolen by ransack and such. Now it goes on to say bleed and burn reduction was previously a permanent effect that could not be removed or manipulated even after the death of the character providing said effect. This made the ability very challenging for a player to overcome. The change made to the ability will allow for more interesting combat and strategy for players. We hope to bring more positive changes to combat and are always looking for more ways to improve the game. An additional roadmap will be available to public beta players called Survival, which will showcase these changes. Make sure to check it out. So this is obviously pretty interesting. It is going to effectively be like a soft nerf, but it will be probably better for the game for this. I think when William first came out, a lot of people had issues with the fact that you could absolutely destroy him turn one, but his bleed and burn reduction would still affect the entire team. Now, his bleed and burn reduction will still affect the entire team if you nuke him turn one, because there'll be buffs on the entire team, but you could effectively steal those buffs away. You could have characters that remove one positive effect from the entire team, and if they've only got that effect, it would remove that effect. It will not stop bleed or burn going on those characters turn one. So for instance, if you had a Zachary, it would apply bleed to a particular character. You could remove that damage over time reduction status effect, and then the bleed would actually take place. So there is potential for early on burn and bleed to actually come back into it, especially around characters like Ty Lead, because it's only 2 characters that will get burnt. So you could just ransack the 2 characters that get burnt, they will get burnt, and the next turn you can ransack the next characters that are kind of adjacent for the burn to be passed over. So there is potential for this going forward. We'll have to see how it pans out. At the moment it's only going to affect 5 characters, so it's not too much of a deal. The other characters that are anti-bleed and burn are actually buff characters, like Jiefeng gives a buff, so this is pretty much in line with that. Now there are some more changes and some bug fixes as well. Moved Ascension to unlock earlier at player level 5. It was unlocked at player level 15 previously. This was actually pretty important because I believe you cannot even use the Ascension Tower for your mythics until level 15, which was obviously not going to be super quick. So people would have leveled up characters before they were like tiered up, so on and so forth. Fixed an issue where the wrong avatar portrait would show opponents in wars, and this was basically like, I think, their base avatar. Fixed an issue where the wrong amount of rewards from a challenge run tournament would be received. Fixed an issue where certain portraits wouldn't update or display on various war screens. Fix an issue where exiting out of the edit screen of a team without making any changes would prompt the user to discard changes. And then fix an issue where enemy bot teams in wars would display as having lieutenant levels before entering combat. So pretty basic updates, nothing too crazy on the changes here. I like the fact that you're no longer going to see the avatar set, and it should probably be the defense team set, so it'll be like Wang Fa lead or something like that. However, this could potentially show like the #1 war team instead of the defense team in the region, because you could still probably change this, you know, just set a really bad team in the region and it would just change the avatar to that. Now there is one last combat fix, and it says fixed an issue where Devastating Blow's heal block would appear to stack with an existing heal block, and this was just a visual thing pretty much where it would go over 100% heal reduction, which cannot happen, to be honest, which cannot happen. The rest is just talking about how to join the beta program. If you want to join the beta program, you have to, you know, check out the guide and go through that. But like I say, it will change your game. If you have any issues on the beta, it will affect your main game. There are some risks to being in the beta region, can affect your main region. Obviously, it's up to you. You're making the choice yourself. And you can only join the beta regions through Google on Android. So that was a bit more information on the 35.1 update. Like I said, I will be running over the 35.1 update in a live stream tomorrow afternoon. And that'll probably be, you know, quite early in the day in America, but like midday to mid-afternoon in the UK. I'm interested to see how this burn and bleed reduction is going to be changed into damage over time reduction. I think it's pretty much going to be straightforward, but it'll be interesting to, you know, just actually test it out. Do give me your thoughts, however, on what we already know on the progression mission system, and also on what has been revealed when it comes to some combat changes, specifically around the damage over time buff coming in, and the burn and bleed reductions effectively being changed on certain characters. Let me know in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.